One of the best things that I think I've ever heard is in a discussion at City Hall. It was with Mayor Battle, and
Hmm.
it was also with John Hamilton. And John Hamilton said one of the reasons that an entity like the city of Huntsville is willing to provide funding to the Village of Promise is we're taking a systemic approach to trying to address generational poverty.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that all the other nonprofits and the work that they're doing focused on different facets of poverty are not doing the right thing. We need all of that. It's just we are trying this approach where we want to look at one neighborhood, look at its entire system or family system, and see if we can move the needle
Yeah.
by dealing with the children through preschool and education, and also the wraparound services for the families, for their parents. And over the course of 12 years, we're hoping to see this transformation and get those first group of students ready to either go into college or they're ready to go into the workforce. And at the same time, the parents' lives are improving too.
And that's Dana. If you'll tell him, you had mentioned that it's we are a family advancement center. So can you share with Troy what the process is? So if somebody calls and it's like, hey, I need a daycare service, or hey, we're looking for this. What's that process?
Family Advancement Center, basically, it's folks in the neighborhood that approach the Village of Promise related to our services. We have two different umbrellas, if you will, for how we work. The Family Advancement Center and the Promise Institute are the adult related services. And under that umbrella, we've got things like Family Connections, and it's based on parent and child time together programs, trying to model what family behaviors are like for those families that are highly resourced and successful. Things like sitting around a table for a meal at dinner time.
Hmm.
You and I may not think twice about that happening as a dynamic in a family, but some of these families have never really done that on a consistent basis.
Yeah.
So in Family Connections, they come in for 12 weeks, and the program starts off mom, dad, kids sitting around a table having a meal, and then they might play board games, or the parents might read to the kids during that hour. After that hour is done, the kids then they take off and go either based on their age, they get tutoring services, or it's some sort of structured play.
Yeah.
So we start with Family Connections 12-week program. While the kids are doing their thing, the parents are getting lessons in financial literacy, or they're being introduced to CPR, so that if you have a family emergency, we know what to do there. Nutritional cooking and nutritional meals. Have somebody that comes in and talks about those things. Talk about credit scores. How do we move ahead?
Yeah.
The other thing that falls under that umbrella is Promise Preparatory. That's basically for our kids. Like I said before, we run a preschool. We have kids as young as 6 weeks of age, all the way through 5 years old. So one of the biggest barriers to being able to go out and get a job, either to do interviews or to hold a job, is a lack of affordable child care. The kids that come into our programs, basically the younger kids from 6 weeks of age all the way up to 4 years old, it's a place for the parents to know that their kids are going to be cared for, getting instruction and trying to prepare them for going into our pre-K4 program that's focused on the 4 year olds, getting them ready to go into kindergarten, the K through 12 school system.
Okay.
We've got first time mothers, single mothers have no idea, even young mothers, how to be a better parent. We have infant university. It's where those folks can come in and they're given instruction on the basics of childcare and parenting and setting them up for success so that the kids have a great grounding, not just with what's happening at school, but we're transforming what's happening in the home as well.
Gotcha.
Because research shows we can do all that we want to put kids in a bubble from an educational standpoint and do great things for them. But by the time they get to the third grade, if they're not getting the support at home where parents are reading to their kids every night, developing a love of reading, a love of education, kids start to fall behind in the third grade and they continue to fall behind. And that's kind of where you get the indicators of who's going to drop out of school by the time they get to the 12th grade.